everyone, we are live, we are live, we are live. Welcome back to Talk Live. Let me aim this down just that little tatty bit. Yes, indeed. How are you? How are you? How are you? Hope you are well. Hope you're doing wonderfully well. Oh my God. What a wonderful start I've had. Anyway, there we go. A little more graceful now. Yes, welcome back to Talk Live. I thought I'd rep the colors of the by far the greatest team the world has ever seen, the Arsenal Football Club, first place by 5 with a match in hand. Yes, doing the do against Manchester United this weekend. Oh, it was such a wonderful weekend, although my Bills did lose this weekend, which was exactly a pain in the ass. But, yeah, anytime Arsenal wins is always a good time, so I thought I'd wear some of the, the good kit, as they say in England, some of the good kits, some of the training kit that they have out there, man, some of the styles. I tell you, man, if you ever go to Arsenal.com, they have my credit card details on lock, quite simply, and they're doing a good thing, doing a good job. But how are you? We are back here live on Talk Live. Sorry we couldn't get to it on Sunday because Sunday was just like a playoff day, and then Saturday was a busy day for me. But we are back. We are live. We'll be here on Tuesday, Thursday, and sometime this weekend, probably Saturday. With Sunday being as it is. So, thank you for joining me on Talk Live tonight on IG and YouTube. Tonight we are going into sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Let me get the show sponsor out of the way. Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. That's DUNTALK.com. The sponsor always tells me I'm saying it too quickly. So, one more time, DUNTALK.com. Duntalk.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to be moving on up into the new year. So thank you for joining me on Talk Live. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. We're just saying hello to a few people who have arrived in. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Narissa. How are you? And I wave to you, my dear, and all those who are joining me on Talk Live. So let's get to it. Let's get through it. Let's get into it. Now, in this modern day and age, in this contemporary day and age, we're starting to see a trend. Well, it's not more of a trend as it is now maybe the norm, and that is the fact that fatherless homes are becoming more prevalent in this day and age, especially in terms of my community, that being the African diaspora community in North America especially. I wouldn't say Africa. I'd rule out Africa. I think Africa is more. They tend to have more of a family unit there. Although I cannot confirm or deny that. So again, but I think they have it more together there. I think more of the problem rests here in North America, rests here in more of the developed world, rests here in the Western economies, and. Yes, so in terms of fatherless homes, I just wanted to go through some of the stats of having these fatherless homes. Now, again, men make choices, women make choices in these certain situations, and it comes to a point where these choices have consequences. Now, not exactly the best of things to have these consequences visit upon your children, but they are. And the one thing that history has taught us is that the best sort of family unit is indeed those in which two parents exist within the household, a man and a woman. Especially when it comes to male-female kids, and I'll deal with the male-female children. I'll deal with the positives and negatives in a bit. But I thought I'd bring those statistics to your attention, realizing that, and this show is basically bringing to your attention that when you have a child, although life can be about yourself, you don't want to lose yourself in your children, but you have to put children to for the most part in the forefront of your life. And if it means making sacrifices in that sense for your happiness, as it has been in previous generations, that's what you do. I think a lot what happened in a lot of families during the baby boomer / silent generation is if there were discrepancies, if there were issues, if there were problems within the family, only under drastic means would it break up. Only in drastic means would it break up. So therefore, people stay together, but people stay together for the long haul for the children and to stabilize the family unit. But nowadays, as we move in through Gen X, now Gen Z, well, not Gen Z. Gen Zs aren't really ready to have families yet. Into millennials, what we're seeing is people are voting with their feet. People are putting their happiness first and not their children first. And with that comes dire consequences, I think. Not only for those families, but also for society at large. And what I wanted to do is I have two videos I wanted to talk through tonight, and I just wanted to see what the statistics are, and let you know that you have to be careful in these sort of situations in which you have kids, and realize that indeed, if you are going to make it alone, know what the consequences are, because again, you're going into life more often than not. If you are a lady, I mean, there are many men out there who are heading these families, but in terms of tonight, in terms of having fatherless homes, there are dire consequences to be had. There are, simple as that. Not only for the child, but also for the family in and of itself. Because again, society wasn't meant, and talking about infrastructure and stuff, society wasn't meant to allow for single parent homes to thrive within this society, unless they're earning enough. But it was you're not supposed to be leaning on the state in order to take care of the child. And if you lean upon the state to take care of the child, chances are the state will take care of that child eventually on its own. And it takes for most of these families who are headed by single mothers. I know of a lot of single mothers who are very strong, who are who have done the work, but there are those who do fall through the cracks. And for those who do fall through the cracks, there are dire consequences to be had. Speaking from experience, I was very, very lucky to have a father in my life, and living within my household for my formative years up until university years and beyond. And he's still alive today, and he's still a very, very much vital part of my life. But to those women who are, who see their men as not ish, and who don't, care to, have their baby fathers in their lives, realize that there are consequences to be had. And back then, if you had a child outside of wedlock, you usually marry the guy and then you get on with things. But nowadays, women are voting with their feet and saying, I'd rather, he be out of it. He pays some child support. If he's there, he's there, and if he's not, he's not. But you have to take that into, you have to be very, very wary of what the consequences are. So we're going to get into this right now, and I'm through talking and getting through my normal spiel. But thank you for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube tonight, and we're going to get into this right now. So I'm going to go into my browser cam here on YouTube. Again, like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm going into this video put up by Valuetainment. Yes, indeed. And it's a very, very good video that basically outlays the statistics quite succinctly and quite effectively as to the consequence of being in fatherless homes. And let me say this. I know of a lot of ladies who head fatherless homes. I know a lot of ladies, and they've been very strong, and their kids have been raised right. And there's no reason why, if you are in a fatherless home, that you can't be raising your kids responsibly and right going forward. However, for those who do not live up to that obligation, for those who do drop the ball, there are consequences to be had, and we have to be aware of these things. And I guess what I'm saying is that there needs to be a dating with consequence slash not dating with consequence, a dating with intention for the ladies. And we're going to have a future show on Talk Live about that. And there has to be for men an ideal that you have to fight for your family, and you have to be there for your children, and stay in the house in which your children live, because they are given a better chance of success by doing that. and you got to put yourself first in most of these cases, especially for the women as well. So we're gonna get into this right now on Talk Live. Thank you for joining me, and we're gonna go into this right now. Let's go. Whenever we're ready. Oh, just 1 second. Just one second.
I have some disturbing.
Here we go. Got it.
Stats I want to share with you about fatherless homes. And by the way, some of the stats, I've seen this before. I'm going to tell you, when you read some of these stats, you're going to sit there and say, that is insane. By the way, these stats are from 2021 of the impact a father makes in a child upbringing, both a girl and a boy. Like I said, disturbing, but you will be shell-shocked with the stats. If you get value from the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let me get right into it. The U.S. has the highest rate of children living in a single-parent household of any nation in the world. About 80% of single-parent homes are led by single mothers, at a rate of 23% of children living with one parent and no other adult. The United States stands over 3 times the world average of 7% of children raised by one parent. For reference, the number stands at 3% in China, 4% in India. This is not an area we want to be competing with other countries, by the way. If there is a statistic to not be competing in, this is one of the statistics. China's at 3, India's at 4, the world's at 7. We're at 23% in America.
That is stunning. Now, living in Canada, those may be different. Those numbers may be different, but that is stunning. I would bump that down to about maybe 13 to 15%, but that is stunning. But it's not too far off from what the United States brings, and not too far off from what the developed world brings. But as he says, the world average is 7%, and the United States is at 23%. I would say in Canada is about 15%. Let it be said that for the developed world, it's about 10-15% of homes that are fatherless. That cannot be a good thing. It never was a good thing. Never was a good thing. And as he said, 80% of households are headed by of these single parent households are headed by women, because usually, as part of jurisprudence, as part of the tradition of the court, family court that is, custody is awarded to the kids. I mean to the mother for the kids. And so I've had many experience of single mothers handling their babies, taking them here, there, and everywhere, and it's to have this sort of transitory life is not a good thing. It was never a good thing. Never ever a good thing. Yes, it'll toughen your kids up, but maybe for the worse rather than for the better, if you see what I mean. But we're going to continue.
Zero bragging rights. This is the stat everybody wants to hide. And this is the stats where the side effects of this, we ain't going to see for 2 decades or 3 decades or longer. Takes a while to see the side effects. Let me continue. Even for children.
That's a very, very good point he raises there. We are not going to see the effects of single-parent homes for another 2-3 decades. Let that sink in. We have just tipped the iceberg in terms of crime, in terms of mental illness, in terms of teenage pregnancy, in terms of a lot of ills that are going on in society. All because of fatherless homes. That can't be argued. That can't be argued. But he goes into a little bit more, as we shall soon see.
Children with a father present in the home, the average school-age boy only spends about 30 minutes per week with one-on-one conversations with his father. For comparison, the same boy, on average, will spend about 44 hours a week watching television, playing video games, and surfing the internet. In our house, there is no video games throughout the week. It's on the weekends after you read 150 pages throughout the week. Then you have the right to play video games for an hour or 2 on the weekend, and that's what you have to earn. You have to move your body, you have to exercise. There's certain things you need to do to get to that point. That's our household, but the stat tells you 44 hours a week of watching TV, playing video games, and surfing the internet. Let me continue. 90%.
That is, guys, that is not a good thing. That is never a good thing. If a father only has access to 30 minutes per week with his child, that's never a good thing. That's part of the, especially if you have a father figure in the household. To have access to 30 minutes of time in a house with a father figure / father in the household, it's an issue. Especially when you counter that with the fact that children spend 4 or 5 times that amount in front of video games and other sorts of social media. They're basically isolating themselves. They're desocializing themselves. They cannot. It's not as if they're not socially adept of any kind, but the fact of the matter is there isn't a stable groundwork set for the most part, like when you're in a 2-parent household. I came from a 2-parent household, so I know of the stability that it brings. To those who don't know, it's ignorance, and that's fine. It's warranted. They don't know any better. However, it's a vast difference in things. You have issues with socialization. You have to bring yourself away from any sort of social media / computer in order to socialize with people. So certain pleasantries are excused. That has to be retrained, right? Because you're so used to logging in and socializing with whoever you find online than you are with your own family. That's why you ever notice there's a decrease in kids, exchanging pleasantries, saying hello, hi, how are you, and just exchanging any sort of courtesy, common courtesy to one another. It's usually because they're so ingrained in terms of socialization, in terms of video games, that they don't know how to socialize. They haven't been taught how to do that. To a certain level they have, but they haven't for the most part. And that has to be trained. And that's where stability, that's where discipline, that's where literal focus has to be brought to fatherless homes and to fathers themselves. Because they bring that stability, they bring that leadership, they bring that sort of grounding, that's the word I was trying to find, to any sort of family. They do. It is the foundation to any family. The mother makes the home. That goes without saying. There's no doubt that we all need mothers in the world. That goes without saying, because that provides that sort of, nurturing, loving, caring environment in a home. But a father brings structure, discipline, responsibility, and example for children to follow on for. Let us continue.
Of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of teen suicides, 85% of children and teens with behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. Let me read that stat to you one more time. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of all teen suicide, 85% of children and teen with behavioral disorder come from fatherless homes. That is a very, very big number. Next, fatherlessness likewise has a direct link to teen pregnancy and sexual activity. Roughly 70% of teenage pregnancies come from women raised in a fatherless home. 70% of teenage pregnancies comes from fatherless homes. 70%. That's a big number. And these same women have significantly higher abortion rates than women raised by both a father and a mother. On the whole, fatherless kids are 20 times more likely to be incarcerated and 11 times more likely to exhibit violent behavior than children from two-parent household. 20.
That's why I wanted to bring you here tonight. That's exact. Those statistics right there, that last little clip of statistics right there, is what tonight's all about. Those in fatherless homes are at greater risk. Not to say it will happen, because I know people will come for me for that. Those in fatherless homes are at greater risk for mental illness, teenage pregnancy, and as he just read out, 70% of teenage pregnancies come from children, from girls, from women from fatherless homes, from young women from fatherless homes. And then he says 80% of those who are incarcerated are those from fatherless homes. Let's just go back. Let's go back. 90% of all homelessness and runaway children, 63% of suicides, and 85% of children are those children that come from fatherless homes. As I said, stability, discipline, less risk of self-esteem diminishing. And less chance of your kids running away. Especially when you're coming in a two-parent household where there's a mother and there's a father. Because that's the best of both worlds. Moving on. Where's that other statistic? There we go. Fatherless likewise has a direct link to teenage pregnancy and sexual activity. Roughly 70% of teenage pregnancies come from women raised in fatherless homes, and these are the same women, and these same women have significantly higher abortion rates. There used to be a saying, wait till your father gets home. Because the father would usually discipline the kids. Usually teach them right from wrong. Usually straighten them out. If there's no father there, if there's no safety net there, if there's no one to bring structure, foundation, family values to the home, guess what happens? Kids feel they have freedom to do what they want. There are no rules. They can make their own. And if they slip through the cracks, make mistakes, they're liable to run away or get pregnant. Never have I... It is rare, let me say that. It is rare for me to find... it is rare of me to find a fathered home these days, but there are. But it is rare for me to find a teenager whom came pregnant and were within a fathered home. It's rare. It's extremely rare. As they were saying before, go ask your white friends, go ask your Indian friends, go ask your Chinese friends if that's the case. It's extremely rare. Because there's structure, there's balance, there's discipline, there's focus. And they don't make mistakes. We used to be of that ilk, but not anymore. Because we've allowed women to make rules and decide things, and they don't need men. Right? So you take the man out, and these things begin, and it's becoming more prevalent. As you said earlier on, we are at the tip of the iceberg, a big old iceberg that's coming for society. A more debaucherous society. Look that up. And finally, we have this. On the whole, fatherless kids are 20 times more likely to be incarcerated, 11 times more likely to exhibit violent behavior than children from two-parent households. Yes. Most of those gang and drug crimes you see on the street, more than likely they came from fatherless homes. Those kids came from fatherless homes who had something to prove in society, so therefore they turned to violence to prove that they're a man. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science at all. If there is a father in the home to teach kids right from wrong, to stop them from going down the wrong path, to be that foundation to which kids can come and get advice the way it used to be 40, 50 years ago, less crime on the street. Do you ever notice that as you move away from two-parent homes, things are escalating in terms of violence in the streets? You ever notice that? And you wonder why? Because there's lack of stability, lack of discipline. You can tell those raised in fathered homes and those who aren't. You can tell. You can literally tell. Who's been raised in fathered homes and those who haven't. And it's a shame. But all I can do is bring it to the facts, people. That's what we're doing here tonight at Talk Live. Thank you for joining me at Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. On the road to 1,000 subscribers. This sounds better. Sounds better. But we continue.
Tons more. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chances as children raised by just their father. You may already be blown away by the stats before, so maybe come back and let me read this to you and brace for impact if you missed it. Let me read it one more time. Listen. Just stay with me. Don't get distracted. Stay with me. Listen. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chance as children raised by just their fathers. The husband and wife raise their kid. The chance of this kid going to jail is the same as just the father raising his kids. The problem is the single mother without a father in the picture that can sit there and discipline the kids, give them hope, values, principles, all the other stuff. We play different roles. This is statistic. If somebody's watching this saying, oh my God, you're discounting women, you're discounting mothers, go get upset at the stats, not at me. This is stats. You can't get upset at 3 times 3 is 9. That's stats. I'm giving you stats that's being given to us by the government because they have access to these stats. This is disturbing. Let me continue. Girls with no father.
I'm sorry, ladies. And to all my single mothers who know me out there, I love you. You're doing the best you can. But stats don't lie. Fathers end up being better parents. As the statistics say, let's go back here. Kids who are raised by two parents have better chances at financial success, scholastic success. I'm just trying to get that piece here. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Oh, yeah. Let me just repeat that. There we go.
More likely to exhibit violent behavior.
Let's move that a little further.
From two-parent household. 20 times more. Okay? 20 times more. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chances as children raised by just their father. You may already be blown up.
Again. Sad but true, ladies. But a child raised by mother and father, best of both worlds, best case scenario in terms of raising a child. But as he said before, a child has the same chances if he the same chances at success if he's just raised by his father, by a father-led household. Why is that? Stability, structure, discipline, foundation, and more or less financial success / stability. Let it be said that there are good women out there raising their kids. But they have a better chance that they're raised by their father. A better chance. We have tried it with women for 50 years in single-parent homes. It hasn't helped. I'm giving you the stats tonight, people. Thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live. I'm giving you the stats. Women have had 50 years to go at it alone. And the results are not very good in most cases. If you are a child of divorce, maybe you get a leg up. But even then, they were fraught with a few mental issues, stability issues as well. But if you are in a home in which there was no father to begin with, that's a problem that needs addressing quickly. And that's a problem, ladies, that you must address through dating with intention, through vetting these men that much more properly to find a solid, maybe not 10 out of 10 man, but a man who's going to bring stability and structure to your life to give your child a better chance at success. This is not a love issue. This is not a loins issue. This is a brain issue now for you ladies. Because left to your devices, left to your loins and your love interest, you're lusting your loins, they have fared badly on children. Badly. Especially when you're a single parent home. You can see... You can see by the attitudes of these kids. Blueface and Christine, I don't know what the hell her name is. The way she got on the No Jumper podcast the other day. It's an absolute disgrace. But no doubt I can see that as being a single parent child. I can have no doubt in that. None. The childishness, the drunkenness, the sexual proclivity, no man, no father in their right mind would have that tolerated in the developing years. None. But we tolerate it because it's a woman. We can't be seen to be accusatory or critical of them in terms of their decisions. But it is a cost that society must pay. Not only through benefits, but also through crime and its debauchery. To anyone within the sound of my voice, to any young lady that hears me, any millennial, any zennial, please, please believe. Please, please, please vet your paramours, your men carefully. And at the end of the day, choose one. Choose the right one. Because the difference between the success and failure of your children will depend on it. Will literally depend on it. Let's continue.
Way by the stats before.
Sorry.
So maybe come back and let me read this to you and brace for impact.
Let's move on a little further. Here we go.
But they have the same chance as children raised by just their fathers. The husband and wife raise their kid. The chance of this kid going to jail is the same as just the father raising his kids. The problem is the single mother without a father in the picture that can sit there and discipline the kids, give them hope, values, principles, all the other stuff. We play different roles. This is statistic. If somebody's watching this saying, oh my God, you're discounting women, you're discounting mothers, go get upset at the stats, not at me. This is stats. You can't get upset at 3 times 3 is 9. That's stats. I'm giving you stats that's being given to us by the government because they have access to these stats. This is disturbing. Let me continue. Girls with no fathers have lower self-esteem. We can lower crime, lower mental issues, help the economy, lower suicide rates, and decrease homelessness by bringing back the family nucleus. There are things that...
Why do you think India and China are getting ahead in the economy? Because they're patriarchal societies, people. They're patriarchal societies. Top down. One mind, one vision, one goal. Patriarchal societies are societies in which men/fathers are in charge. And once we get to that conclusion, once we understand that, stats never lie. There we go. We got a little comment here. The same government give women custody of these children and then makes them weak. There you go. Thank you very much. It's a horrible cycle. It's true. It's very, very true, and we're seeing it now being played out in real life. Thank you very much for the comment. Like, subscribe, and we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But it's true. China, India, most of the superpowers of the world are patriarchies for a reason. And as the stats, he already proves here state. Let me go back to them again. I keep running them back. Crime is lowered, lower mental issues, helping the economy, lower suicide rates, decrease homelessness if you bring back the family nucleus. If you bring back mothers and fathers. To those who do remember, there was a time in which our community was a community in which majority of fathers were in the homes, including in my family. For my generation, the Gen X generation. Not so for millennials, definitely not for zennials. And you can see society slowly descending into a debaucherous state. Especially with the influence of video games, especially with the influences of social media. What caters to whom? Kids from single-parent homes. Because it keeps them occupied. I am so glad that in the home I live in, I'm here to be an example for my kids. And as I've said to you in a previous Talk to Talk Live, ladies, if you're in a single-parent home, and your dads and your exes are not good male role models, find a man, find a coach, find a religious leader who can be. Because you need it. You're living in a vacuum otherwise. You're living in a vacuum. And it's a negative one. And your kids will be sucked up in either teenage pregnancy, crime, / jail, or death. Suicide or otherwise. Through suicide or violence. Because there's no structure and stability within that household. You need to have a male role model nearby. And thank God I was given that title here in this household. Because there's more structure, there's more stability for those kids. And they're living upstanding lives. Listen, my ex's ex. Sorry, not my ex's ex. My sister's ex always thanks the ground I walk on for me being here for these kids. Why? Because he couldn't be. He wasn't here. There wasn't a male role model in their lives. With me being here, stability's returned. Foundations return. Disciplines returns. You ladies need to realize that. Just because you're living your best life doesn't mean your kids are. Let me repeat that. Just because you're living your best life doesn't mean your kids are. Children have to be put first. That's how it used to be. When people got pregnant and they weren't married, they got married. Our morals have been led astray by a devolution of society, guys. And there's a reason why countries like China and India and most of Eastern Europe are kicking our ass. Why? Well, I would say China and India. Let me say those two. But why? Because they are patriarchal societies. Even Africa, to a certain extent, laughs at us. Why? Because they can't understand why a man can't be within a household. And listen, you ladies are playing it fast and loose. They're playing it way too fast and way too loose. And it shows on society. In terms of higher crime, higher mental issues, worse economies, higher suicide rates, increased homelessness. Hello, Emil, how are you? Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We are discussing the dangers of fatherless homes tonight. Let's continue.
Suicide rates and decrease homelessness by bringing back the family nucleus. There are things that my wife can do as a mother that I can't do. There's things she can bring that I can't bring. But there are things I can do that she can't do. So now you may say, well, Pat, I agree. I do agree. We can lower this, but then how come it's not happening? And here's the other question. Who's to blame? Who do we blame with this? Now, you may be listening to this saying, well, it's got to be the husband and wife's fault. It's got to be the man and the woman's fault. Fine. How come it's not the same ratios around the world? Why is U.S. fatherlessness at 23%? Everywhere else is 7% average. So is it really the mom and dad? So how about the mom and dad in India? How about the mom and dad in China? How about the mom and dad in Germany? How about the mom and dad in Brazil? How about the mom and dad in other places? Why are we at 23%? How did this happen? Was it like this before? Is it an evolution? Is it mainstream media? Is it Hollywood? Is it the fact that parents are afraid of parenting because everybody is so much involved? You can't do that to your kid. You can't do this to your kid. You can't discipline your kid like that. Whose fault is it? It's someone's fault. Is it the fact that, hey, we can't really bring church and schools and pray and all this stuff? I don't know. Maybe that's not something you agree with. Maybe it is. Maybe we need those values and principles. But it's somebody's fault in America that this is happening. This is purely a systemic issue that we're having. This cannot be like in no, it's really the community, it's the parents, it's the culture, it's all this other stuff. No, standards are standards. We're sitting there not educating. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and do that. Now, standards have dropped, and the numbers are showing. If we judged a country based on how many kids are being raised by fatherless homes that's producing crimes at the levels that we're getting, sex during teenage pregnancy, abortion, suicide, incarceration, maybe we ought to look at this. Maybe this is very important. Maybe our educational system sucks. Maybe. Kids spend more time around teachers than they do around their parents. Maybe. Who do we blame? The responsibility has to lie on the nation. Maybe we're either too much involved or we're not selling. Take your time to get married. Take your time before you have sex with someone. Take your time before you get pregnant. Take your time before you have a baby. Protect yourself. Stay home. Do not just go out there and have unprotected sex. Maybe we're not talking about this kind of stuff. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. The stat says we're not selling it in the right way, and we're paying a price for it. If you're in a community that crime is high, hello, you're feeling it. That's the stats. So the next time you see...
I can't say it better than that. I really can't. I really, really, really can't. Sorry about that. Let me get out of there for a second. I can't say that well enough. Well said indeed. What fathered homes brings is better decision making for kids. They tend to not go out and make bad sexual decisions. They tend not to use drugs. They tend not to be drug addicts. They tend not to be criminals at a later age. And you can see society slowly descending into a less stable one. And unfortunately, we have to bear the brunt of that. We can call racism all we like, but there are other races out there and they're thriving. Why? Let me say that again. We can call racism all we like, but there are other races who are thriving. Why? No discipline, no structure, no focus. No accent on education. We gotta bear the brunt of this, people. Our people gotta bear the brunt of this. When is our come to Jesus moment? When we're going to decide that we should make better decisions? We should take time to vet and to bring people into our lives. We should take time having sex. We should take time to make sure that we have a stable family home. Take time to make sure that these kids have the best start in society. That's where it starts. That's where it really starts. You can blame the government, you can blame racism, you can blame the police, you can blame all these things, but at the end of the day, one thing has led to our demise, and that is our separation from our children and us not putting family first. In all the societies that are thriving today, family's always first. Why can't we thrive? Because family's not first. Our feelings are first. Our loins are first. Our best life is first. It never used to be that way. We were much more profitable. We were much more stable. We were much better off when we put family first. When fathers were in the home 24/7. That's why I said I'd never have a baby outside of wedlock. Never. I wouldn't do it. And to this day, I haven't. Now, some people call me, oh, what, me a shoe blank? No. I'd rather not waste my sperm on a lot of these ladies out there these days. I wouldn't do it. I would never do it because I know it would be going to a bad place. Why? Because it was instilled within me that if I make a choice, it must be a choice that brings my family up and not down. And too often, we have too many families, too many people in society who make bad choices. Why? Because there wasn't someone to correct them. And that is usually fathers. Fathers are the corrective device in most cases. In most homes. Remember what I said? Wait till your father gets home. Why? Because he would instantly correct. He was the regulator. He was the one who wouldn't take back chat. He was the one to make sure that these kids were raised right. He was the one to make sure that you were home on time. He was the one to make sure you had your homework done. He was the one who took away video games, who took away phones, who took away anything that wouldn't bring you towards success. That's what a father was. That's what we've forgotten. Women think, oh, we can do it all on our own. No, you can't, because the statistics don't lie. They don't lie. If you were left to your own devices, it's a problem. And it takes a monumental, stupendous, and I know there are women out there, let me say this, I know there are women out there who have done it, but more often than not, there are those who have not done the job, ladies. Amel said, the disciplinarian, yes, that's what a father was. He's the one who laid down the law. He's the one who corrected mistakes, who put you on the right path. He was the one to lead, as Amel says here. He was the one indeed to lead. We've come to a point now where, I'm sorry to say this, ladies, we've come to a point now where you think, oh, I can do it all by myself. I can do bad all by myself. Yes, you can do bad all by yourself. And it shows by the statistics. You can do bad all by yourself. That's how bad you're doing. And women will say, oh, no, well, you know, the guy walked away and, you know, he's at fault for this. More often than not, ladies, you pushed that man out. You didn't want him near your kids. Your kids, even though they are both of your kids. When life wasn't about you, it was about your children. You forgot about that. And forgot the fact that, you know what? should calm myself and realize what's best for the kids comes first. Because that's how it used to be. And that's how families create. That's how legacies create. That's how generational wealth was created. Do you get this? Because I don't see many single parent homes led by mothers becoming millionaires anytime soon. They're struggling. They are struggling. They are in the least enviable spot in today's society. And they're looking for men such as me to clean things up. But guess what? Men aren't taking that deal anymore because being a stepfather is a thankless job these days. So what has to be done? Ladies, you got to make better choices on who to choose as a father. Who to choose as a leader of your families. Instead of leading with your heart and your loins, you got to lead with your head. Is this a good guy with whom to lead my family? Because you bring life into the world. But again, we have to fertilize the seed now. But a man's part in society, a man's part in a family cannot be diminished. It can't. It just can't. And it's showing by the stats I've already showed you today. I'll let my man finish up.
See a father that takes their job as a father seriously, you can actually say, you know how we see somebody in military uniform? Guess what you say? Hey, thank you for your service. What do you mean? Hey, man, stats, 23% fatherlessness. And you're there with your kids. Thank you for your service. Being a father is tough. Good for you guys, husband and wife, trying to make this work. Marriage is tough. Salute. You make my life better and safer by raising good kids. Salute to you. Maybe we ought to give those awards. Maybe we need to kind of recognize Father of the Year award, a bigger deal. Man, if I ran a state or a country, we would be recognizing certain behavior and turning great fathers and mothers into heroes. Because God knows their job is hard, very hard. Not, making their job harder, not recognizing the guys that are doing a good job, just kind of winging it, which is the way we're doing it right now. Stats don't favor us. We got some work to do. This is an area, well, I will very comfortably say America's got a lot of work to do. We've stepped away from values and principles and we're kind of winging it. Anyways, no one masters parenting, and none of us know if we're going to be great parents or not for about 40 years until our kids are 40 years old. By the time you know you're a great parent, you're probably not alive because your grandkids will validate that you were a good parent. So you're never going to know whether you were a great parent or not. But I made a video from all the different things I've learned and what I apply in my life about parenting called How to Raise Successful Kids. If you've never seen it, click here to watch that video. Shout out to those of you guys that take your job as a father very seriously. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And he makes a very good point at the end there. When have we... Mother's Day is made as a big deal. And it is a big deal. Let's face facts. It is a big deal. But Father's Day is sort of a secondary thought. You know how hard it is to be a father these days? You know the selfless task it is to be a father? Mothers are celebrated, and there's no doubt about it, they need to be celebrated. But when are we going to recognize fathers and what they bring to society? When? Fathers need to be recognized, because if they are more recognized, guess what? There'll probably be more fathers out there. If fathers are better recognized, they're probably would take the job more seriously instead of being in a flippant way. Be right back. Unbelievable how this thing stops like that. Stupid shit. Unfucking believable. Unfucking believable. Yes, we are back on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're into part 2 of the show. We were just talking about the dangers of fatherless homes, and we went through the statistics in the first part of the show. The second part of the show is indeed how... Well, let me finish that. Let me finish that point because I don't think I fleshed it out enough. Fathers need to be recognized for what they do. Yes, mothers are heralded and celebrated, and that's all well and good, but fathers need to be as well. They need to be saluted. Thank you for your service because you're making society better. You're making the economies better. You're making mental health better. You're making less incarcerations happen. You're making it better for these kids out there. Either you're a father or a father figure. You're making things better for society at large. And they need to be celebrated. Every time, my parents are divorced. And I could have harbored hate at my father because my dad, okay, he made a mistake. So be it. He made a mistake, and it's been validated, and it's been true. But never, ever would I not consider my dad a good dad. I tell him I love you every time I get, because he brought this family a stable, a thriving foundation. He brought it. He didn't have to do it. He could have run off. He could have done other things. But he brought stability, financially, emotionally, to this family. And for that, I thank you. And he gave me a great hairline. Let's face facts. I could have easily had my uncle and my mother's line's hairline, but just a little levity. But he brought stability, focus, discipline, family values to this family. And for that, I'll always honor him. I'll always thank him on Father's Day. I always do. I always get him his favorite whiskey, Glenmorangie, for Father's Day. I always get a whiskey for Christmas, but definitely for Father's Day. Why? Because he didn't have to do what he had to do, but he did it. And women, you've got to recognize that those men in your lives who helped raise you, those men in your lives who stick around for their kids, you need to recognize their worth as well. It's not all about you. Recognize the fathers in your life. Recognize the people who helped raise your kids, who helped bring them to the stable lives they have today. Yes, you women. When's the last time you thanked your boy? Oh, well, I'll say boyfriend. Well, in this modern society, you can say that. When's the last time you thanked your boyfriend? You thanked your husband for what they do for your children? When's the last time? Okay, Father's Day, sure. But when's the last time? Men need that recognition to know that what they're doing is a good thing. Because not only they're making your families better, they're making society better at large. So if you hear this tonight, thank your, well, we got to say it. Thank your baby father if he's a stable part of their lives. and maybe rethink, instead of getting out on these streets and thinking you can do better, maybe rethink the idea of you trying to find someone else and trying to bond with that man you had the baby with. Unless he's a bad influence on your kids, I'd understand that. But if he's not, what's the problem? He doesn't satisfy your sexual needs. He's not funny enough. He's not cool enough. Those are very weak excuses. Because when you get back out on these streets, when you get back on the dating scene, it's a leveler. It makes you realize that maybe I shouldn't be out here. When you put yourself back out in that open market, unless you are the 8, 9s, and 10s of the world, after having kids, you don't want to be out here. You want to be next to that guy you had the baby with and tries to raise a family that your family, the community at large, society values and appreciates. But let's move on. Thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live. Live on IG and YouTube. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And the sound is better. I'm very happy with the sound. The sound is better. The sound is much better today. Let me know in the comments if you think the sound is better. I think we've got the sound issue taken care of. If you can hear it loud and clear, do let me know in the comments. And do comment on this issue. I want to hear your views on this. Because I want to bring this to the fore now more than ever. Chris, thank you very much. We need 1,000 subscribers. I need 1,000 subscribers. So come on, like, subscribe, comment. Anyways, we're back to this. I just lost my train of thought there for a moment. We're back. We are back. So here's the thing. And here's the thing. We're going to go into in the next part of the discussion, and we're going to talk about the problem with children again, and that is their coachability, their trainability, their ability to learn. Ran to this clip here from O'Shea Duke Jackson. If you haven't heard of O'Shea Duke Jackson, a very, very big guy in the black manosphere, and very funny at that. Again, like, subscribe, comment to O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's got a lot of good content out there, and yeah, it's very well appreciated. But again, he had this clip, and it came from the Gary McAfee show. Gary McAfee is a sports podcaster who's become very, very popular these days, and he had a conversation with Coach Deion Sanders. Now, Coach Deion Sanders is one of the greater football players of all time, NFL Hall of Famer. Recently had his coaching job, had a job coaching at Jackson State, where he tried to bring the limelight back to HBCUs. He was there for 2 years. He left because he got a bigger job, a more well-paying job at Colorado, the University of Colorado. Now he's the head coach there. But what he wants to discuss here is how he recruits, how he brings in players into his team. And what he speaks of is who are the better people to recruit in certain positions. So we're going to get into that right now, especially on a football team. And again, he'll let you know. It's a very fascinating story. I'll let him say it for himself. Let's go.
Coach, you said something earlier that I found very fascinating with the breakdown of recruiting 40-20-20 or 40-40-20, what it was. Mm-hmm. So when we all came up, recruiting was way different. Now you speak a lot about grad transfers in the portal. How different is it recruiting them versus high school, and how has that changed everything?
Easier. Grad transfers want it right now. They got 1 or 2 more years left, and they want it right now. They ain't got time to be playing no games. They ain't got time to be making mistakes with their careers and their futures. They don't have time for knucklehead kids to be running around and not doing their assignment or being where they're supposed to be. I love it. Guys in the transfer portal also you got to find out why. You got to do your homework and your due diligence. Why? You saying they want this, they want that. Okay, if I call them, what are they going to say about you? Just tell me, because I'm going to make the call. I'd rather not make the call, but tell me why. Because there's a reason you left. There's a reason you divorced this situation or the situation divorced you. So you got to find out all about those guys. High school kids are a little different. You can mold them, you can shape them. But a lot of coaches don't have 2 years to build them and to mold them and shape them because you're going to mess around and get fired trying to develop that kid. So you got to have a perfect balance of older, younger guys and mid guys as well. So you can have that tremendous balance. But make sure you ain't dealing with no youngster behind that center. You ain't dealing with no youngsters at tackles, right and left tackles. You ain't dealing with no youngsters on that island, on that corner. Some guys, I go from inside out sometimes outside in because I'm a corner and I think outside in. Outside in, you can do some wonderful things. But also, I'm a baseball guy, so I think up the middle. Okay, you give me that center, that quarterback, that linebacker, that safety, we good. And give me those 2 D tackles and I'm straight. So it's a lot going on inside of here. It's a lot of different philosophies and a lot of attributes. I like kids on the line with parents, man. Offensive linemen, I like dual parents, because they're much more serene. They're much more understanding of family, understanding of assignment. When a man talks into their life or yell at them, they don't trip because they've always had a man in their house. Defensive lineman, man, give me the kid from the trailer park, from the hood, from small beginnings. I want him hungry and ready to hunt. I want guys with a darn pickup truck and a deer on the back of it. I want guys ready to hunt, ready to go get it, man. I want the guy here crying. Oh, my mama, I got to get her out the hood. That's what you want on those defensive linemen. So it's different attributes that we look for that we want. And prayerfully, they'll get us to where we need to go, and we'll get them to the next level of being successful as a professional.
Let me go through that again. Offensive linemen, those on offense, those key areas of offense, those who are at quarterback, those who are in key positions on offense, especially on the offensive line. He wants kids from 2-parent homes. He wants kids from 2-parent homes. Why? Because they're much more coachable. They ain't gonna fly off the handle. They're not ill-disciplined. They aren't. They'll come in focused. They'll come in ready to learn because they've had discipline in the home. Now the defense. That's the violent end. Remember I was talking about violence before in single parent and fatherless homes? Remember I was telling you about that? Who do he want his defenders to be? He wants them to be violent. He wants them to be ready to play. He wants them to be ready to tear people's head off. He wants people who are hungry enough, who wants to get his mama out the hood. So they're willing to do anything and everything to do it. That's what he wants from his defenders. But the key word is violence. He wants violent men on defense. He wants thinkers on offense. And who are the thinkers? Those from 2-parent homes. Now again, I know you'll come at me saying, oh, no, not all guys would think of the better. I get it. But the exception doesn't disprove the rule. Remember what I said? 2-parent homes, kids in those areas usually have a better start in life, usually end up with college degrees, usually end up on the higher ends of the social structure. So, as he said, and at the end of the day, those in 2-parent homes become more coachable because they've had a father in the household. They know what it is to hear from a man. They know what it is to humble yourself in order to develop yourself. And those come from kids. Usually those come from kids. More often than not, those come from kids, because I have to say these things, in 2-parent homes. From 2-parent homes. Wrong use of preposition. can't disagree with that. I can't. They're less prone to violence. They're less prone. I would say those on offense, those especially on offensive line, they have to think of 1,000 plays. You got to think of how to block in 1,000 ways. That takes learning. That takes growth. That takes discipline. Not to say that those from fatherless homes can't get there, but those from two-parent homes, usually they have the inner workings of discipline and focus and willingness to learn to take things forward. And are coachable at the end of the day. Continuing.
So now, I want to deal with this, okay? Number one, he says, let's get to the single parent. He wants the defensive lineman to be hungry and all that sort of stuff, right? I think that's crap. Deion Sanders understands when you're dealing with many of these talented black athletes, they're coming from single parent homes. But here's what we know. Those guys are harder to coach. Offensive linemen, offensive tackles, those guys are important because they're the protection. They read the blitzes. They keep your quarterback healthy and things like that. Those guys are leaders. Let's just be honest. Men in sports want people who are going to listen. And a lot of us know that a lot of the men that give you problems, even you see a lot of these guys shouting on social media, even here on Black Key too, the guys who make the most noise and are in the most beefs, these are the dudes that dad ain't there. All the time. The daddy is not there. And when the father is not there, it's hard for that man to go out there and be somebody in society. Hello, we're going to be real. A lot of these young women today are suffering because they don't have men that can have any sort of leadership. Now, I know some of the brothers is going to say, hey, listen, these sisters don't want a man that's a leader, and that's fair enough. I get that. But we're going to talk about that today. A lot of these young men are hard to deal with in Black America because can't nobody tell them nothing. I had enough people in my life. My mom and dad divorced. I had my grandfather. I had guys in my church. I was able to listen to people, which is the reason why I believe I'm somewhat where I am today. I ain't always been a great listener, but I've done enough. But now, dealing in situations I'm talking about now, a lot of these young black men are not coachable. And Deion Sanders wants to say it all the way. That yes, he has talent. Yes, he's a great athlete. But the guy doesn't listen. And if you can't listen, guess what? It don't matter how good you are. If you can't be coached. Because I'm going to give you a good opportunity to look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy for the San Francisco 49ers is not the best talented quarterback in the game. He doesn't have a big arm. Okay? At all. He's not tall. He's not a physical specimen. Neither was Joe Montana. Neither was Tom Brady. But the thing I like about Brock Purdy, he's coachable. Okay? He's coachable. And guys who are coachable will develop. And likewise, women who are coachable can be in relationships, right?
Wow. Well said, O'Shea. Well said. Again, the sinking man areas on a football field, the quarterback, the offensive line, pretty much all the scoring positions have to be men who can be coached and men who can lead. And those are usually ones in fathered homes. You don't usually find kids that come from fatherless homes running teams. Don't usually. You don't. Because they've either been so ill-disciplined, or they can't focus, or they can't learn, or they're not coachable enough to do it. So they never reach that level. Brock Purdy, he was talking about right there. Brock Purdy came from a double-parent household. He's coachable. He's not got the strongest arm. He's not the biggest guy. But guess what? He's coachable. That's why he was able to be drafted. Most of these people who are drafted in the first round or above, they are coachable. Those in the lower rounds, those defensive tackles, those all they got to realize are a few plays. Yes, they have to, they have to be thinking out there, but at the end of the day, these are guys who can use certain violent tendencies to their advantage on defense. And usually when you see on defense, especially in the NFL, if we're talking here, they're usually black. Don't hide it. Don't have to hide it. Look at any NFL broadcast. Look at the defensive core of any team. It's about 80-90% black. Except the linebacker positions where you got to have a head on your shoulders. They tend to be a little bit white. But, again, don't want to get racist here. Don't want to do that. But, they're coachable. Let's say that. They're coachable. And once you realize their coachability, you tend to rise higher. But those usually come from fathered homes, people. You want discipline, you want educated, you want coachable kids, put them in a two-parent household / a father-held household. Because they can listen to authority. They can take accountability for themselves. They can make sure that they have a focus and they can move on to bigger and better things. They can be told what to do. They can be critiqued and take it on board in a positive way. Kids from single-parent homes can't be told, have a tendency, can't be told nothing, can't be focused, can't be disciplined, can't move their family and themselves forward. Unfortunately. Then they lead towards violence, and they lead towards debaucherous acts. And that's a sad thing. That's where fathers are needed. But let's finish up.
You want a woman that will listen. I don't care how fine she is. But if she don't listen, look at Greg Popovich. What did he say? I like coaching young men with two parents. That's why the Spurs used to always beat teams that had more talent than him, that were more athletic than him. Why? Because of what? Coachable. Too many young black men are not coachable.
You got to ask yourself this question, ladies and gentlemen. Are your kids coachable? Are your kids coachable? Are they always prone to violence? Are they always prone to disciplinary issues? Do they always seem to cause disturbances? Because that's the quote I wanted to get to. Coach Greg Popovich, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. 5 championships with the San Antonio Spurs. He says he likes coaching kids from two-parent homes. Why? They're coachable. Because he has intricate plays that Don't tolerate any sort of mindless nonsense. He wants to know that you're coachable from the get-go. That you're willing to take accountability for yourself, and that you're disciplined enough to take things on board and actually put them to work instantaneously. And chances are they come from two-parent homes. Sorry. Like it or love it. Like it or lump it. It's the same thing.
At all. Can't win with nobody who's not coachable. And we got to call it for what it is. When you want to build a community, you want to build businesses, guys that come from single-parent homes can't do that, man. They don't have the structure. They don't have the discipline. Look at the guys you look at who are the billionaires right now. How many of those guys are single-parent billionaires? Look at the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, the Charlie Mungers. These guys come from families where you listen. You listen.
Such a great point. Such a great final point. The most successful people in society usually come from fathered homes, from two-parent fathered home children. Women who watch this part, I know you want to throw that on the mud. You want to say, and you want to put the exception to the rule. You want to say anything that goes against this fact, but that's a fact. Those who tend to be more successful in society have come from two-parent homes. How would you want to handicap yourself just because you want to satisfy your lustful and loving needs? Is beyond me. It's stunning. It literally is stunning. When society showed you the way that works and you're willing to go against that. For all that is holy. Just so you can live your best life. I know how good your life is when your kids are in trouble. I know how good your life is if your kids have had teenage pregnancy. I know how good your life is when society's on the decline. But you're straight, right? You're straight. We never used to live like this. We always used to live for the next generation, but this generation seems to live for itself. And it is costing all of us. But you'll soon learn. That's fine. When you see your colleagues, when you see your people who have come from father figure homes succeed, and you wonder why, and you blame society for all your ills instead of taking accountability for the choices that you make, ladies. That's why you have to date with intention. You got to date for a man who's going to be there for the long haul. Be more discerning in the choices that you make. Not just because he gets you off or makes you laugh. Let it be a person who is a good provider, who's going to be there and stabilize your family. Because the benefits are enormous. Way more than a man who can please you sexually.
Nobody want to talk about it. Nobody want to deal with it. But they listen. That's the truth. Can't become nobody when you don't listen. You can't be developed. And that's why the Chinese taking over all these places. Because they got order They listen. Our young men, our young women, and people in general in the black community, you can't tell them a goddamn thing.
Wow! How true is that? That's why the Chinese are winning. That's why the Indians are winning, because they have stability, structure, discipline, focus, and are coachable. Ladies, if you don't have a coachable kid in your life, I don't know who else to blame for your bad choices in life. Yes. Takes two to tango, takes two to have babies, and all this other stuff. But you must vet these men much more properly than you do. Because being in a fatherless home and the danger within a fatherless home are that great that you need to do it. Instead of going for the 8, 9, 10 guy, the Chad, the Tyrone, who'll flake out on you at a moment's notice because he has much more to choose from than you. Instead of choosing a guy who has 8 or 9 baby mamas, just because he can provide some sort of financial stability to you, instead of bringing you some sort of family stability, focus, drive, discipline, foundation, maybe going for that boring guy is the best thing, because they tend to be the best providers. They tend to be the best fathers. Hello? But you don't want that. You want the 6 foot, 6-pack, 6-figure, 6 inches or more, cool guy with a funny look. Well, with a funny look. I mean, who's funny, makes you laugh, and gives you the tingles. When it never used to be that way. You got to change up, ladies. You really do.
For the most part. You can't. How are those people going to be developing into somebody else? Then when they get older, they want to have kids, and guess what? They're going to want their kids to listen to them, and then they won't. And that creates a culture of degeneracy. We don't want to deal with that, but we got to. We got to. We got to. And Prime is right. But guys, what do you think?
Do you want to be a part of the culture of degeneracy? Let me end off there. Let me get back on the big screen here. Go back to the full cam. Do you want to be a part of the culture of degeneracy? Thank you for O.J. Juice Jackson for that video. Ladies, that is the question. Do you want to be a part of the culture of degeneracy? Because if you're a single mom out there, you basically are. Unless you have true male role models in the house, or very nearby, or within a phone call's notice, and who are there to discipline your children, you are in that generation of degeneracy. You are. Whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. And I mean having a male role model, a heterosexual male role model. Now I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this. A heterosexual male role model for your children, who are willing to carry the seed forward into the next generation. Nothing wrong with the LGBTQ2S community. Nothing wrong with the pink alternative. Nothing wrong If you go that way, so be it. I'm talking about heterosexual families and societies here. And at the end of the day, a father is needed in that life. Especially when you're raising heterosexual kids. And it's always been that way. So why are we falling away from it today? Why? And even if you are part of that community, and you've had a male in that life, you need to involve him in your life for your children's sake. Because the dangers are all there. I've proved it to you. I've shown it to you. Well, you're going to do what you want to do. You're going to let life be all about you still. And you're going to let society slide while other societies thrive. But it's about you, right? It's all about you. But the choice is yours. I know what I'm going to do. I'm not bringing a kid in this life out of wedlock. I'm not bringing a kid in this life where I'm not in the household. I'm not bringing a kid in this life that can't come to me at any day, at any time, 24/7, whom I can't contact via phone or be at his house within a 24-hour time span in order to instill discipline, foundation, structure in that house. No way I'm doing that. I take fatherhood seriously. So seriously that I wouldn't have a kid outside of marriage or without me in the household. It ain't working. It will take moving heaven and earth to get me out of that house. Because I want what's right for my kids. Because it's about them first. Not you, ladies. Not you. The dangers are there. Time to start acting right. Time to start respecting your men. It's time to start realizing their worth. Time to start thanking your fathers. Time to start thanking your fathers. Time to start choosing your fathers that much more wisely. Not sexually, wisely. Not tingly, wisely. Not comedically, wisely. And once you do that, society's a better place. Society's a much better place. Your family's a better place. Your marriage is a better place. Your community's a better place. Society at large is a better place. Because you know who brings down society, ladies, whether you like it or not? Kids from fatherless homes. And we've shown that tonight on Talk Talk Live. So it's up to you. Either date with intention or let society slide to dysfunction. Either date with intention or let society slip and slide to dysfunction. I thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live right now. I'm going to leave it there. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to be back on Thursday night. And this is, you know what, I'm happy about tonight because the fact of the matter is the sound was very good tonight. If you were with me on the show, the sound was very good. We finally got that sorted out. But more changes to come as we move on. We're going to get the camera. We're going to get other things. I know I've been saying it, but I'll be doing it in the next month. And we're going to keep crushing through. And I thank you for all those people who have recognized me on the streets about Talk Live. They want to get on the show. They want to participate. Please do. Let me know. At Talkdtalklive.com, send me a DM. Or if you know me, a few people do, DM me. I'm not going to say my real name, but, you know me as E-Rock, but those in the know, and get in touch with me, and let's do a collab. Because I want to do more collabs into the 2023 year. I know of a few people who wanted to do collabs with me going forward, and we're going to get to that. But again, great show tonight. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. Good amount of participation. I appreciate that. We're going to be back again Thursday night, and we're going to delve into another topic of great interest here. And it's going to be a nice ride as we move forward into 2023. I hope your years are going well. I know for a fact that there may be a snowstorm coming in the next couple of days in the Toronto area where I'm at. But so bundle up and be ready. But again, it could just blow by us as it did the last time. But again, I could be wrong. But again, thank you for joining me on Talk Live, sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. More changes on the way. More collaborations on the way. And we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to get this done. So I thank you for joining me on Talk Live. We're going to end it there. I'm going to get a little workout on. We're going to be back into work tomorrow. And yeah, it should be fun. Hopefully I won't have a snow day and have to work from home. Oh, boo-hoo. But anyways, nonetheless, we roll on. Thank you for joining me. Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And we will talk to each other very soon. Thank you for joining me. Good night. And if you talk, walk the walk. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you. Good night. And to my YouTube viewers, yes, you stayed on for a good long time. Again, this is going to be instantly released on Talk Live. Just checking my... Yes, we are there. Just checking my Instagram feed, and it went well. And again, thank you for joining me on Talk Live. Again, camera changes will be happening. But again, this will be uploaded right away to YouTube as it was a live broadcast. But again, we will get the Instagram show up on YouTube very, very shortly, hopefully by this weekend. But I thank you for joining me on this pivotal show about the dangers of fatherless homes tonight. And I look forward to seeing you on Thursday night. We'll be back on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers.